What's up, everybody? It's the Kenner Collector here. Hope you're having an awesome weekend. Thanks again for tuning into my channel. Hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my future videos on my collection, my customs. In this week's episode, I really wanted to get into some of my favorite variants from the vintage Star Wars line. Some of them are behind me. I want to get into the Lili Ledy variants. I'm going to focus on three of my favorite ones today. And want to show you the differences between the Kenner figures and the Lili Ledy figures for these three pieces. So let's go ahead and get started and check these out right now. And here's the first Lili Ledy variant that I wanted to showcase. This is arguably my favorite one. It's tough to decide between these three figures. This one is really cool because it came with a different blaster than the original Jawa that we got from the Kenner line, as you can see there. And it's obviously comes with the removable hood. That's why this figure is so sought after out there on the market. If you can find one in this condition, they're extremely rare, very, very pricey, and especially to get it with the original Lili Ledy gun and blaster. And you'll notice the face is different as well, and the cape's a little bit different. Some of the stitching kind of varies, but let's go ahead and break this thing down, get into some of the features, and compare it to the Kenner version of the original Jawa. And here we have the two different versions to compare: the Lili Ledy version that was made in Mexico. And because of trade agreements, Kenner couldn't just, import these into Mexico. So they had to license the rights from Lucasfilm to make these toys down in Mexico with a company called Lili Ledy. That's kind of how this started and how we got these figures and the variations. So let's go ahead and check out the differences between the Lili Ledy version and the Kenner version of the original Jawa. Obviously the vinyl cape came first, but these are after that. So you see here, this one's got more of round eyes. They're yellow. You can see kind of pulling the hood back here. Obviously the blaster is the original Kenner blaster. You can see the cape. And then on the Lili Ledy version, obviously, again, everybody collects these mostly because of the removable hood. So you can take this off. You can see the difference in the eyes. Look at, these are more of like an oval, wide eye shape. And same yellow coloration, but just different shapes on the eyes. So again, if you can see both of these side by side, the different shapes of the eyes, the different blasters as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the blaster on this Lili Ledy version. Okay. So here it is. See if I can get this to focus. And if you're trying to find one of these with the original blaster, make sure that when you're looking for it, there's a little L stamp that obviously stands for Lili Ledy, and it's pretty much impossible to see here. Actually, you can see it right there. There's a little L stamp in between the two parts of the gun there, just above the trigger. So if you are looking for one of these, make sure you find the blaster that has that L stamp. There are reproductions, obviously, of this blaster. There's other black blasters like this. And if it doesn't have that L stamp, it's not the original. So those are the differences between the Lili Ledy version and the Kenner version for the Jawa figure. And next we have the squid head with the burgundy cape. I love this variant. Very, very hard to find, extremely rare, just like the other two I'm featuring in this video today. If you collect Lili Ledy, there's a bunch of different, subtle, variations, like with the Darth Vaders or the other figures, but I love these three that I'm featuring today because they are totally unlike the Kenner versions. And these are the only three Lili Ledy figures that I've collected so far. I may try and go down that rabbit hole and collect the entire run, but for now, just focusing on the three I'm showcasing today. So this is, again, one of my favorite variants out there, the Burgundy Cape Squid Head. Let's go ahead and take a look next at the differences between this Lili Ledy version and the Kenner version. You have the Lili Ledy version on the left, the Kenner version on the right. And this is the most sought after Lili Ledy Squid Head, the Burgundy Cape, because of its rare reddish brown coloration. And I didn't know this when I started making this video this morning, but on all the Lili Ledy Squid Heads, his belt, the silver belt in the middle, they came with stripes at the top, while the Kenner version actually oriented the stripes at the bottom. So if you look at the original packaging from Lili Ledy versus Kenner, you'll see inside the blister, the bubble pack, that the Lili Ledy had the stripes at the top, Kenner had the stripes at the bottom. So if anybody else has any information on that or wants to debunk that from the research I found today, definitely hit me up in the comments section. Love to learn more about that. But that's a difference that I noticed not up until today, which is crazy. And the Lili Ledy versions came with a number of different colored capes, and then the Kenner version as well. I'm just showcasing the olive green Kenner version. That's my favorite cape on the right. So let's go ahead and check out the other features here. So let's take a look at some of the other differences between these two figures. And obviously, all the three figures that I'm showing today have different CEO lines, different stamps from different eras. You can check that out at Variant Villain online. Check out his website. He's got all the details on the COO stamping and all that stuff, and shows the differences between Lili Ledy versions and Kenner versions. But I don't like to roll up the skirts or take the skirts off this figure, or roll up the Jawa cape. I don't even like handling these Lili Ledy figures because they're in such good shape. And I'm not going to give away the next figure quite yet that I'm going to show. So let's check out the differences on these. Again, I talked about the stripes being on top with the belt versus the bottom on the Kenner version. And you'll notice the blaster, the Lili Ledy version, is actually a darker gray. It's kind of tough to tell in this lighting. But if you're trying to find a Lili Ledy version that's got the original blaster, definitely make sure it's a little bit darker color than the Kenner version. And I'm not an expert on these by any means. If anybody else has any different comparisons or differentiators between the Lili Ledy Squid Head and the Kenner, let me know. The coloration of the skin of this figure is a little different as well. You can see the one on the left is a little bit more of a warmer color. The one on the right is a little bit more gray, more of a duller color. Really, again, tough to tell without seeing it with the naked eye. So those are the differences between the Squid Head versions, the Lili Ledy on the left and the Kenner on the right. And the final variant that I wanted to show, Bib Fortuna. Obviously the Burgundy cape, this is extremely rare, extremely hard to find. If you can find these graded, they are very, very costly in mint condition, like I was able to find this one in. And let's go ahead and check out the differences between this Lili Ledy version and the Kenner version. We didn't get a lot of variants with Bib Fortuna, so this Burgundy cape version of Bib Fortuna is definitely one of my all-time favorite variants from the original Star Wars toy line. So again, this one's, the most sought after because of the burgundy dark red, reddish brown cloak cape, compared to the Kenner version on the right that's more of like an olive grayish type color. So obviously the biggest difference between the Lili Ledy on the left and the Kenner on the right is that cloak or cape color. And I was actually fortunate enough, I got the Lili Ledy version on the left was actually carded when I purchased it. Found it at an amazingly low price, way lower than any price of a loose graded figure that was in like horrible condition. I was able to find this figure on a card back, uncirculated in mint condition, for a lot less than a horribly graded Bib Fortuna Lili Ledy with the burgundy cape. So the bubble was already coming off and everything, so I removed it from the packaging. And I'm going to show the card back here next. So this is how I originally got the figure, and you can see here it's got, you know, the bubble's in really, really bad condition, cracks, it's opening. The card's in pretty rough shape. It's even got a pencil hole behind Bib Fortuna in the back of the card when I got it. But I love the artwork on these, on the front of this. Then let's take a look here at the back of this card. So here you have, and this is what's cool about the Lili Ledy card backs. These are totally different. It's kind of just like a tonal look, you know, like a black and white grayscale look compared to the Kenner card backs that were full color on the back side, featuring all the different figures that you could collect during that time frame. So very cool card back. Like I said, I was extremely lucky to find this at the price I did. I despise removing figures from their vintage card backs, but this one was almost falling out of his bubble already, and I only collect loose, you know, Kenner and, you know, other variations like Lili Ledy. So I was on the hunt for this loose figure for a long time. So let's check out the differences of the two. So here you have his staff is actually a darker gray color than the Kenner version. So if you're looking to get him with his original staff, definitely make sure it's a darker gray color than the Kenner version here. You can see that's definitely a lighter gray color. Let's see if I can hold these up next to each other. There you go. And then this one's kind of got, he's got kind of like his beady eyes compared to this version, the Lili Ledy version, that has more pronounced, you know, bolder, larger, you know, circles as far as the eye paint goes. So and I think there's even a belt variation or a chest plate variation. Throw that down in the comments if you're a Lili Ledy expert. I don't want to take these apart. Like I said, I don't even like handling the Lili Ledy version. So those are the major differences: the staff coloration, obviously the cloak or the cape, and then the eye paint from the Lili Ledy versus the Kenner version. And that's a wrap on this week's video. Again, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. If you like what I'm doing, throw a like on this video. It really helps support the channel. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to make next week's video. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode on my favorite Lili Ledy variants from the original Star Wars vintage toy line. So have a great rest of your weekend and collect the Kenner.